Asher Elias joining us from Israel on the phone lines. Asher, good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning, and thank you very much. It's afternoon in Israel, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Asha. We're going to be speaking later on this morning with another Ethiopian Israeli in Israel. Naftali Aklum is going to be joining us on the phone lines later on. But we've been talking about the Ethiopian community in Israel, Ethiopian Israelites, and in particular we're talking also about the work that you have been doing in Israel. So we want to look a little bit at that also, Asher. But first of all, tell us, how did there come to be an Ethiopian community in Israel?
Well, it's a kind of fulfillment of ancient dream. You know, as a Jewish community in Ethiopia who were in Ethiopia long before the day of Jesus even, we always pray for next year in Jerusalem. This is one of the prayers of the Jewish people. And last, actually in 1983, that was the first operation that tried to help some of the part of the community to arrive to Israel to fulfill that dream. Before that, there were some pioneers who came in the 60s by themselves to Israel. And later on 1991, there was another operation called the Solomon Operation, who brought the remaining Jewish from Ethiopia to Israel. After that, since then, we're still having group of people from Ethiopia who are arriving to Israel, who related to the Jewish community.
Mm-hmm. And so the Ethiopian Jews, they have a history, an ancient history, as you said before, that extends all the way before Jesus.
Definitely. Actually, you know, I just realized that the only Jewish kingdom after the Second Temple was in Ethiopia, the Jewish kingdom in Ethiopia. But this is part of the history that people just start to realize. Not Africans, not Ethiopians, but Jewish people. They start to have a lot of research about the history, the background, and there's lots of research in Ethiopia about the Jewish life there. So it's indeed ancient history.
Yes. The emperor himself, Emperor Haile Selassie, traces his own lineage back to Solomon and the Solomonic dynasty.
Yeah, but it's not from that part. I mean, there's a joke that, you know, in Ethiopia everybody said that they're also part of the relationship between Queen Sheba and King Solomon. Most of them are from the Shiva part of the relationship. The Jewish community are from the Solomon part of the relationship.
Yes.
So basically, you know, it's they accepted Christianity while the Jewish remained Jewish. This is the main difference between the two groups.
The two groups. And so what is, do you know the number, or what's the size in terms of numbers of the Ethiopian community now in Israel?
In Israel, the numbers is about 130,000 Ethiopians in Israel.
At the moment, about 130,000. All right, we've been talking about the many challenges being faced by the Ethiopian community. We saw recently, when Barack Obama visited, the President of the United States visited Israel, that there were photo opportunities with Miss Israel, who was an Ethiopian. So that kind of said, a lot of us stood up and said, wow, we didn't expect that. Was that also unexpected in Israel itself, that an Ethiopian woman would be named Miss Israel?
Yes, but some of us, the social activists who involved with, dealing with most of the challenges in integrating into the Israeli society or to build ourselves as a community, some of us believe that it's, it's just a game for Obama. She's pretty. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of politics around.
All right,
so
we thought so. We thought so.
Israel tried to show the world that we're okay. So,
yes. Well, and a very good point you made, because this is exactly where we want to go. So Israel trying to show the world that the Ethiopian community in Israel is okay. But really and truly, the Ethiopian community in Israel isn't okay. So let us talk about some of the social issues. I want to jump right in, Asha, at the point where we have a latest news coming out now on July 14, which is just a few days ago, where we've been told that an investigation will be launched in the fact that the Israeli government gave forced birth control to Ethiopian women. Let us talk about that first before we talk about the integration. What can you tell us about that unfolding situation?
Well, currently we have like two Knesset members from the community who serve in the Israeli parliament. And they've been asked to establish a parliamentary inquiry committee that will investigate the entire story. The story, it's been published on one of the programs in Israel, on TV, and prime time, that women used to get this Depo-Provera injection in Ethiopia before coming to Israel. And some said that, it was kind of conditioned. If you won't take it, we won't help you to reach Israel, something like that. And it's under the title of birth control, which, if you put it in that way, it might be, they try to help people from Ethiopia to get familiar with the Western country like Israel and how to, to prepare for this kind of living. But it's one story out of many different stories that, force us to open our eyes and not really accept those messages. Now there's an investigation about this, about, the small details. I mean, we have a good friend of mine, Sava. Her name is Sava. He did the research for the TV program. She has that paper, actually a letter from the Israeli government to a doctor in Ethiopia. They said that he's really successful because the birth rate is less than the average in Ethiopia. So it sounds like they wanted that the birth rate would be low. So, it's an issue and we need to investigate.
Yeah, for many...
it's not only... Yes. It's not like family planning.
No, for many of us it is genocidal. But for Depo-Provera is an interesting drug, which is a birth control drug, because our own women, mothers here in Jamaica, were used as guinea pigs to test Depo-Provera. So women in Jamaica were getting that drug without their knowledge that they were taking it, with knowing that they were taking Depo-Provera, but not knowing that they were participating in a guinea pig test to see whether this works or this didn't work. So we have that in common, and here we have again Depo-Provera complicit in another genocidal situation. It's something that we're going to sit down and talk about another time. Let us talk about how Ethiopians are integrating or are not integrating into the Israeli society, wider society, and why. What are some of these main challenges, Asha, that seem to be preventing the Ethiopians from fully integrating into Israeli society as Ethiopian Israelites?
Well, first, it's a very complicated question. But let's start with the main thing. For the first time, there's a black group in Israel claiming to be Jewish for the first time. So it's really challenging, a lot of thoughts, a lot of, agendas, a lot of, that the Beta Israel community, Jewish community from Ethiopia, we're not in any kind of contact with the Jewish world for 2,000 years.
Yes.
So actually, we're laughing because in the community, when they saw the first Jews who came to investigate, they didn't believe that there's white Jews in the world. Yeah, so, so we came to Israel, back home, and we found a lot of people in Israel, white people, from different countries who immigrated to Israel, back to Israel, to Jerusalem. But they were shocked to see that there's black Jews, and, a lot of people trying to investigate in terms of religion in many different aspects. But we're here. Now, this is really challenging. People, people like every place else, it's not an issue of Judaism or not. People, or they have plenty of stereotypes about black people from whatever education they got, or they having a very clear social agenda about hierarchy in society. Those that are ignorant, you can teach them. Those who have agendas, we need to fight them or to heal them, actually.
Yes.
And we're really challenging the Israeli society in many different aspects. So this is the basic. The rest are just symptoms of this roots of the problem. I mean, black Jews here in Israel with, equal rights like everybody else. So I believe most of the challenges that we're trying to face are, from that basic reason.
Let us talk about
black Jews in Israel.
Yeah, and let us talk about. You mentioned earlier that Ethiopians themselves were shocked to see that you had practicing white Jews, but you also talked about the extent to which the Ethiopian Jewish tradition goes back thousands and thousands of years. What would you say is the main difference in terms of how Ethiopian Jews worshipped as opposed to what you found in Israel, which is interesting because you said a Western society, but how is it different? Because it seems to me as if Ethiopia would have had the traditional way of worship would have been more preserved in Ethiopia, not going undisturbed for so many years, centuries.
If I need to summarize this issue, in one sentence, we used to worship God while the current Judaism worship rabbis. This is the main difference. This is the ancient Judaism from, far as, I guess, from the first or second temple time. Pure religion. While, today religion became something very... there's lots of structure, lots of people having a lot of power, which it's not spiritual anymore. It's more like a systematic process.
So what does that mean for Ethiopian Jews and for the preservation of the Ethiopian Jewish religion? What does that mean?
Well, we're people. Some people, adjust the new Judaism way of life. Some of us remain to the ancient tradition, the way of living. And, the new generation, which is the young generation, are not really religion anymore. So, Israel, not everybody religion in Israel. There's plenty of secular people. They're Jewish, but they're not really, they're not acting as a religious people.
So even while while integration is slow, the process of integration itself is slow. Even while that is so, the fact remains that Ethiopian Jews seem to be gradually losing the spirituality and the essence of traditional Jewish Judaism in Israel.
I'm not sure if losing is the correct word to describe what's happening. I guess it's reinventing or changing or redefining their spiritual religion status according to the new situation in Israel. And as normal people, you have different people choosing different way of serving God. So,
yeah. A kind of an assimilation process.
Yeah.
Let us talk about education, which I know is near and dear to your own heart, Asha, because we've been talking about the headlines in Israel, which read that you were shocked into action, so you built a college. What is the current state of education for Ethiopian Jews in Israel?
Well, this is also one of the issues. We continue to struggle. There's I guess, 20, 30 schools in Israel, but the majority are Ethiopians. And some of them I'm talking about like 95% Ethiopians, which is weird because we have a very small community in Israel. Israel is about 7 million people. We are 130.
Yes.
So, and one of them, there's no issue because at least one of them is very successful. Beyond the average standard of, in the educational system. And they're trying to close it. I mean, the previous Minister of Education said that his main value for Ethiopian is the integration. And he doesn't want to see, like, a school segregated with only Ethiopians. But if it's working, why to close it? Mm-hmm. And there's the alternative not happening. I mean, they won't close white school because everybody is white because they want integration. Mm-hmm. This is something that nobody will speak of. So why to do the opposite? Why to close a successful school? Because of the color of the skin of the kids. I mean, he thought like it's he helping the kids with integration, but in one of the meetings, I told him that this is actually discrimination because you're not seeing really the kids. Every kid has his own name, first name, last name, ID, talents, properties, and whatever, and desires and dreams. But you see only the color of the skin, and you deciding, that it's one group that's segregated that need to be integrated in different schools. So they're taking groups, small groups of kids and sending them to a school that's a little bit far away from the, neighborhood. So this is another struggle. Also the educational system. And actually it's quite problematic because, the other issues that we're dealing with grown men. I mean, we're talking about employment, higher, university, higher education. You're dealing with strong people. I mean, young adults and beyond. Here we're talking about kids. Kids in elementary school, and those stories on newspapers that, one school have like segregated class only for Ethiopians. The kids read those news in the newspaper, in the TV news, and the way that they are growing up with, the feeling is that black is bad, and to be successful in Israel, in this society, you must be lighter as you can, in many different aspects.
Yes, and do you then, Asha, find the situation that seems to be plaguing so many black communities in the African diaspora across the world? Do you find Ethiopian people bleaching their skins to be as light as possible?
Well, sometimes I'm saying that I'm happy because of all those troubles and problems and, issues that we need to face. Because it's really gathering the community. A lot of people thought that, it's a specific issue for a specific family or specific kid or specific person when he's been discriminated or something like that. So more and more people understand that it's an issue of a community, of you being black and white society. And we need, to solve these issues, we need to gather, to be together, and, to work together for not only for the sake of our community, but for the sake of the Israeli society.
You yourself started a school. In all of this, Asha, you yourself started a school. Tell us what drove you to start that school.
Well, it wasn't really a school. It was kind of a technology course. I'm not coming from the social world or education. I'm a software engineer. And, you know, as a social activist working in advocacy for like 7, 8 years, I understood that what we need actually is young leadership, professional leadership in the community who will lead the community. And, you know, my way of thinking about leaders are people who really not fulfilled but stable. People who not really looking for their own sake or looking for jobs or money or to survive and things like that. So I believe that, you know, if we can have plenty of, you know, hundreds or thousands of young adults from the community who, you know, having good jobs, decent salaries, and also they have social, they want to change the society or thing, or to be awareness, social awareness, they will be the good or the best leadership that we can provide as a community. And this is what we need. So you know, Israel is a high-tech country, and, you know, it's very simple to train people to be in the high-tech industry. The high-tech industry, you know, paying a lot of money as salaries, decent salary, very beyond the average salary. And, you know, by 2002, when I established Tech Career, there was like out of 130,000 Ethiopians in Israel, there was only 4 Ethiopians working in the high-tech industry.
Wow.
So, you know, I said, you know, there's a way so people can climb social economical ladder in the society. It's a fast way. Why not to train people to be in the high-tech industry? It's not the goal. It's just a tool. It's just a way to become more independent economically.
Mm-hmm.
So I publicly said, you know, it's very difficult to have that kind of program in university and colleges in Israel. So, you know, if there's no way, let's create a way. And I published a career, and, you know, after 10 years, we have like something like 300, 400 people working in the high-tech industry, earning a lot of money, you know, and safe career. Hopefully, some of them, with social awareness, I know that some of them volunteering, doing a great job in different issues, different subjects, in different places in Israel. I hope that will be base for the young leadership. We're doing a great job these days. I mean, the last 2 years, there was a huge demonstration in Jerusalem about one of the issues led by the young leadership in the community. So, you know, I hope that the future will be okay. You know, somebody told me once, you know, in Hebrew, ahina, the animal, ahina, is the Hebrew, it's the same word for hypocrite.
Wow.
So somebody once told me, you know, I don't care how many ahina.
Asha, you there with us?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. I thought we lost you for a moment there because we're trying to make that connection with Naftali. We're having just a wee bit of difficulty, Naftali Aklum, but we did get him on the phone line, so we're trying again to get him back. He's in Israel also. Asha, just before we went into the break, we were talking about education in Israel for the Ethiopian Jewish community, but you've linked the social conditions and economic conditions of Ethiopian Jews in Israel to unemployment. And one of the things that you talked about was the importance of getting people into quality jobs. So you kind of put your mouth where your money was and started a high-tech college. Now you're seeing a difference, but one of the issues you raised just before we went to break is that, so this needs to continue in terms of a social conscience of Ethiopians themselves who are now seeing a change in their employment status. So let us look at the broader employment condition situation of Ethiopian Jews. What would you say is a percentage of unemployment among Ethiopian Jews in Israel today?
Well, one of the latest statistics that I read about educated people, graduate university with BA degree, there was it was less than 20% of them working in that field of profession.
Wow.
Meaning that You can be, you can graduate university but work as a security guard or cashier in a supermarket or thing like that. And some of them working for a specific program for Ethiopians, meaning that, there's plenty of special program for Ethiopians. And, sometimes they are, and it's for short period. It's not really a career. But people working also in this kind of project, but not really employment. It's good for statistics, but it's not really. More and more voices in the community asking that there will be less professional or specific program for Ethiopian, and the government will treat Ethiopian like every other Israeli. We are not, most of the people who now, young adults, were born and grew up in Israel, Israelis. They shouldn't be treated like a new immigrant just because of the color of skin. And actually, special program for Ethiopians are keeping the community as a separated group out of the Israeli society. So we more hear this kind of voices in the community, asking for, to get to treat it as normal citizens, because we are normal citizens. So
how does the Ethiopian community compare the social and economic situation within the Ethiopian community? How does that compare to other groups which have come into Israel? Yes.
Well, one of the statistics said that we, as a community, we are on the lowest 20% of the social economical level in Israel. And actually, you can see this kind of statistic in many different fields. Education, matriculations, suicide, people in jail, very bad statistic. But you can see change through the years, and mainly because people taking responsibility for themselves, start to think for themselves and, define their own path of life.
Yes. Instead
of, getting special treatment or special program or special... eventually it's our responsibility.
So the extent to which the state is responsible, are you undermining that, or where does that fit in the scheme of things, the Israeli state?
Well, there's things that need to be changed, and we're working to change it through lobby and advocacy in the government, in the regulation and things like that. But there is another way or another path for this, and this is the industry. The industry is private. So you can control their values or their way of working, except the normal regulation of, businesses. So in one hand, we need to work with the businesses to try to let them understand the crucial situation and how can they be part of the solution. On the other hand, we need to work with the government to influence, legislation and, laws that deal with discrimination. That till we arrived, there was no issue of discrimination in terms of color. So there's plenty of work to do. But, I like to see, I'm very optimistic. So I see the good strength, the good, and the strong, the educated generation, the new generation, I believe that, we'll take responsibility and we'll make the change. Our parents did fulfill like a dream of 2,000 years to back to Jerusalem. Our responsibility.
Online. Asha, you there?
I'm here, but it's time for Naftali to speak up.
Right. Naftali, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, brilliant. At last, we managed to make this conference. Thank you very much, my brother Naftali, and for making this link with us. We've been looking just before you came on air at the challenges that the Ethiopian Jewish community is facing in Israel. But Asher said to us just before we went into the break that he's hopeful, regardless of the challenges, hope that the young people who are coming up now will take the Ethiopian Jewish community to higher levels in Israel. Part of that includes the work that you're doing on the ground and also the influence of reggae music on the revolutionary process, the process of change in Ethiopia. To what extent is reggae music a music of change among Ethiopian youth?
Well, before you want to make change in yourself, you have to know your roots. You have to know your back. You have to know your history. So reggae music is a music that combines history, rhythm, and understanding for each man, and especially for African people, especially people who come from Ethiopia and immigrate to a new country like Israel, which is a country that maybe 90% of them are white people. And when you have black people in a country that most of the people there are white people, there is a difficulties which in identity. So everyone don't really know who they are and what they're doing in the country. They know that they are Jewish people, but they don't know the history of them as African people. So reggae music take that part and makes everyone learn about his history. So I, as a black man, know that I'm from Africa, and I know that I'm a Jewish man, so I can build my identity. This is very important for a man before, him trying to walk into this new society. So when he know himself as a man that is African and a Jewish and Israeli, and he can combine all this together, then he can move forward to the next level of jobs and to become a member of the Israeli society. So this is very, very important.
Yeah, Naftali, I know that Jamaicans listening this morning and the people who are listening to you across the world on IrieFM.net are saying, but here we are talking to an Ethiopian Jewish person in Israel, but he sounds Jamaican. How come you sound so Jamaican?
Well, because, Bob Robert Nestamar is a legendary. In one of his interviews in Australia, he said that reggae music will become bigger and bigger and bigger. And reggae music is bigger in the world, and especially here in the Middle East. So when you learn English from reggae artists like Bob, Peter Tosh, Elton Ellis, Gregory Isaacs, all of them legendaries, you learn English from them because, you want to know your rights, so you stand up and fight for your rights from Bob Marley's songs. So you study not from school, you study from reggae music. You study when you listen to radio in your room, you study English from that. So you have that accent and you learn from that.
Yes.
So this is why, we speak the way we speak now, because of the music, because of the artist.
All right. Oh, so you talk about yes, is that you, Asha?
Yeah, I'm totally agree with everything that I just said.
Yes. You talk about identity just now, Naftali, and the way the young people are using the music in the continuing formation of their identity. Talk to us a little bit more about that. How pervasive, how popular is reggae music in Israel? And Israeli Ethiopians, Ethiopian Israelis, Ethiopian Jew, young people really embracing this music as part of the process?
Well, I'm so happy that I have this privilege to speak to Jamaican people right now, driving from Ochihuas to Mobile or from Mobile to Kingston, and they will hear that reggae music is a very big thing here in the Middle East. In terms of identity, as I said before, lots of artists are coming each year to Israel to perform. We have, in 2 days, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know, Alborozi is coming to perform here.
Yes.
We had Ziggy Marley. We had, from Israel Vibration. All of them biggest artists from Jamaica are performing here each time and everywhere. I'm the delegate of the Reggae Embassy in Israel for the Reggae Embassy in Jamaica, promoting new artists like LD Anthony and new singers from Jamaica that want to move forward and go to Europe or to the Middle East. reggae music is a very big thing here. We have reggae festivals, reggae clubs, and Ethiopian, it's very easy for them to connect to this music because of the connection to Ethiopia and to their skin, color of skin, black people. So it's very, very easy for them. It makes them, it's a weapon for them to deal with racism and discrimination. And to, when you walk in the street and you have self-confidence in yourself and self-confidence in your roots and in your color, then immediately the other person who speak with you will see that. And reggae music is something that gives those youth this self-confidence, which is very, very important for them. This is, we're living in, Babylon, it's a place that everyone woke up in the morning, go to work, trying to, it's all about money, work. So in this society that work all the time, you have to have self-confidence, and you have to know yourself to say, yeah, I can be better than this person. I know I can do well. So this is what the music do.
Oh, brilliant. And so the hope that you spoke of earlier, Asha, you talk about where the information technology is leading the young people, but also part of the hope of seeing things. Yes.
Only one field.
Right. So part of how Ethiopian Israelis and Ethiopian Jews are going to go forward in terms of being successful is also integrally related to the music, and driving that is reggae music.
Well, I believe, we didn't think about, how I started to become social activist, but actually it started on visiting Jamaica. I mean, I'm also like, the only music on my computer is reggae, mainly roots, but since, I guess, 1985, only reggae music. In my first visit to Jamaica, and it was 1997.
Yes.
I spent some time on Negril, the beach in Negril, speak with some, people about the meaning of Rasta. Because till then, we had some tapes of Bob Marley, mainly Bob Marley. At the beginning you like the rhythm, the music and everything, the melody. But step by step you're starting to understand the lyrics and, get familiar with the concept, with the message itself. I'm talking about time before the internet. So you can't just Google, and look for lyrics. And it was very interesting. And, it's like, I always believe that reggae music, it's like a letter. You have the envelope, which is it's the rhythm, it's the look, it's the environment, and then you have the letter itself inside, which is the message. And the message is about, social activism, it's spiritual, about identity, which Brother Naftali just mentioned, which is a very positive that everybody can, get involved or get to like it or to do something about it. And that was the first step of becoming, social activist. You ask Brother Naftali about the identity, while in a lot of people in Israel were not really familiar with the Ethiopian community, for them it's a group that came from the third world, poverty and such, and, hunger. So if I'm a teenager from the community, who getting this kind of, reaction. And at the other hand, you hear about reggae music, you hear about Haile Selassie, you hear about Ethiopia, the praising Ethiopia. I guess there is no really option what to choose.
Yes, I understand. Yes, no, I get that totally. Yeah. All right. I'm so sorry that
I will want to add.
Yes.
Yeah, I will want to add that we have a sound called Black Star Family Sound, which take young Ethiopian kids and giving them the opportunity to deal with music instead of, doing in the street and dealing with crimes and all this. So we're taking young people, giving them an option to play as DJs in parties and all this. And when they are in the process, they understand that the music is something that can take them out from the neighborhood and make themselves something different, something else, something that they will be proud of. So the music, beside only listen to the music, to be the side of the listeners, there is the side that they are playing music for people, and they are able to bring the message of peace, unity, and understanding to the people. And, everyone speak about peace in the Middle East, but as Peter Tosh said, everyone speak about peace, no one speak about justice. So when you listen to reggae music, you listen to songs, as I mentioned before, like Get Up, Stand Up for your right. When you know your right, you know that if there is justice and if there is not justice. So people are looking for rights, looking to stand up for the right. And then, so now we are fighting about justice. It's not the time to fight about peace. We are fighting about justice for every man here in Israel, not only for Ethiopians, also, for people from Palestinian, whatever, everyone who comes from the minorities group. So, those young people, those young people play the music, giving lectures and they speak with the people. So those people can spread the message of peace, unity, and love to the people after that.
And even on a day when John Kerry has been in Israel, and when we hear that Palestinian prisoners will be released, we understand that this is piecemeal. We understand that this really doesn't touch the heart of where Palestinians should be getting justice. So the point you make, very relevant, especially today, that we talk about peace, but without justice, there's not going to be any peace. Very good point. I'm so sorry that I have to wrap up now, but what I'm going to do is to keep this connection, keep this network going, Asha and Naftali, and ensure that we continue to make the link with you in Israel as we keep abreast with the Ethiopian community in Israel, as we maintain that connection between you as our brothers and our sisters in Israel, who are doing the best that you can to ensure that black people, Ethiopian people in Israel, are not treated unjustly. Thank you very much, both.
Yeah, much love and respect. Thank you very much.
And just before you go, I couldn't let you go without you saying something in Hebrew and Amharic for us, please. Thank you.
Well, I will give the pleasure for my brother Asher to say before me, yeah.
Love, just love. Love in Hebrew is ahava.
Ahava?
Sounds alike. Ahava, like ahava cosmetics.
Yes.
It's ahava. Ahava is love. Only love. Just one sentence, please. A few years ago, Ziggy Marley came to show in Israel.